Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial of Android app development. In this video, I'm gonna create a game called Space Impact, which is nostalgic for all the 90s kids out there. So come, let's get started. Let's check out the output of the Space Impact game. Here you can see the user can actually drag the rocket up and down, and when the rocket is flung, the missile is getting shot. And whenever the missile hits on, the enemy's health is gonna reduce by a value of, and whenever any obstacle hits on the rocket, you can see that your health value is getting decremented and the life is getting decreased accordingly. So that's it, the notifier pops up when you defeat the enemy. So for this game, I'm gonna arrange the screen orientation to landscape. For that, under properties, change the screen orientation to landscape. And I don't want the screen one, so I'm gonna replace it with a text called Space Impact, which is the name of the game. So under properties, go to title and change the screen one name as Space Impact. And I have already added few media components prior to this video, and if you want all these images and media files, please go to the description link where I'll be attaching all these components. So now I'm gonna keep a background, but before that let's add a canvas component. So first I'm gonna add one horizontal arrangement inside which I'm gonna place all my health labels, like a label to specify how much health the enemy is left with and the player is left with. So let's add all those stuffs now. Under user interface, click on layout, drag and drop on horizontal arrangement, and let's change the height of this horizontal arrangement to 10%. Change the width of the horizontal arrangement to full parent so that it occupies the entire screen. And the background color of the horizontal arrangement is going to be black so that it matches the space theme. Change the background color to black. And inside this horizontal arrangement, I'm going to place my label. For that, click on user interface, drag and drop on label component, and change the text color of that label as white, and change the text under properties as enemy health. Space colon. Followed by one more label. Now rename this particular label as enemy health, because we'll be using this label later in the block section. Change the text as 100, and change the text color as white. And inside this, I'm gonna add 3 image component. That is, I'm gonna add some heart image to specify the number of lives the user has left with. So for that, drag and drop 3 image components side by side. Right. So now click on image 1. If you want, we can rename it as lives 1. And upload the picture of heart. Right, and let's change the height to full parent and width to, let's say, 10%. Yeah. So now click on image 2 and rename it as lives 2, and repeat the same process once again, which is uploading the heart image and change the height and width. Repeat the same set of procedures for one more heart. And then I'm gonna add 2 more labels to display the player health. So drag and drop one label component as usual and change the text as player health or your health. Space, colon, space, and change the text color as white. Add one more label. Now I'm gonna rename it as player health. Change the text as 100 and also the text color to white. Right. So now in order to give some more spacing, that is the padding concept, I'm going to add 2 labels in between the lives. So that it looks good on your mobile screen. So I'm just going to remove the text but change the width of that particular spacing label to fill parent. And I'm going to repeat the same set of procedure between the your health and the heart image component only for the spacing purpose. So I'm just going to remove the text as usual and change the width to fill parent. Alright, so now let's proceed to the canvas component. Click on drawing and animation, drag and drop a canvas component into the viewer screen, and now change the height and width of the canvas to fill parent. Because we are not going to use any of the remaining portions on the screen, so you can provide fill parent in both height and width wise. Now I'm going to upload a background image for this canvas to give a space theme. So under properties of canvas, change the background image to images.jpg. That was the file I'm going to use as a background. With this canvas component, I'm going to place all my spaceship and rocket elements to it. For that, I'm going to drag and drop the image sprite. First, let us rename the image sprite 1 as spaceship and click on OK. For spaceship, upload the picture of alien ship and click on OK. So I'm going to keep it at the rightmost corner. I'm going to add one more image sprite, rename it as rocket, and upload the picture of a rocket here. So see, I'm not gonna change the height, width or sizing anything here because I'm gonna specify everything in percentage in the block section so that it matches the player whoever installs this in his own Android phone. So let us keep it here in the same way as it is. And next I'm gonna add one more image sprite. Rename it as missile. And upload the picture of missile here. Add one more image sprite component. Rename it as line. Upload the picture of border.png. Add one more image sprite. Rename it as alien. And upload the picture of alien. Right, so these are all the image sprite components which we are going to use in our game. And along with this, I'm going to add some sound effects whenever the missile or the line hits another object. So for that, click on media, drag and drop a sound component. A notifier component is needed to denote the user that who has won the game. So click on user interface, drag and drop a notifier component. Along with that, I'm gonna add two clock components for time related functions, which you will understand once we go to the block section. So click on media, drag and drop, click on sensors, drag and drop two clock components into the viewer screen. So for clock 1, let us change the timer interval to 2000, which is equal to 2 seconds. And click on clock 2 and change the timer interval to 2500, which is 2.5 seconds. And in both the clock components, make sure you disable the timer enable option. And also for all the image sprite component, we just need to uncheck the rotate box under properties, because these things are going to bounce in between two edges on the mobile screen. So at that case, the image may tend to rotate, which we don't want to happen. For that, just uncheck the rotate option for all the image sprites you have added. So that's it. We have completed the designer window. Let's go ahead and design the block section. Go to block section. First, I'm gonna create what must happen as soon as the screen is initialized. So click on screen 1, drag and drop when screen 1 is initialized. So for all the steps to be taken, I'm going to create a procedure so that that procedure can be repeated whenever the user wants to restart the game as well. So click on procedures, drag and drop the very first procedural block, which is to procedure do block, and rename it as reset. And then call the same procedure inside when screen 1 is initialized block. So at first, I'm gonna create a variable to hold the values, that is the number of lives, enemy health and player health. For all these kind of things, I'm gonna initialize variable to hold this information. Click on variable, drag and drop, initialize global name to block. First, I'm gonna initialize a variable to store the number of lives the player has. So rename the variable into lives. Click on math. Drag and drop a value block and give a value of 3 to it. Because you can see in the designer window, we have added 3 lives for the user. And duplicate the block. Rename the variable as enemy health. And give the value of 100 to it. duplicate the block and rename it as player health. And that way we have created three variables, three global variables where we can use anywhere inside a program. So now in the reset procedure, as soon as the user opens the screen, I want the lives label text, the lives variable, assign a value of 3 to it. And enemy health to 100. And after assigning a value to the enemy health variable, I'm going to display it in the enemy health label we have created. Click on enemy health, drag and drop, set enemy health text to, hover over the enemy health to obtain the get global enemy health block. And repeat the same set of procedure for player health as well. In this way, when the user opens the screen, all the values will get assigned to the proper variable and will be displayed on the screen. So now I'm gonna do some things like setting the size and position of all the image sprite components we have added in percentage. Also, initially the rocket must be disabled. Click on rocket and uncheck the box as enabled, because we don't want the rocket to be enabled all the time. That is, it must be insensitive to the touching and dragging of the user. Only when the user decides to play the game, we want the rocket to be enabled. So that is in the under reset procedure. Click on rocket, drag and drop, set rocket enabled. Under logic, drag and drop a true value to this rocket enabled, because only when the user resets, or else when the screen is initialized, the rocket must be enabled. And the missile visibility is going to be disabled, because only when the user touches or flings over the rocket, the missile needs to be launched against the enemy spaceship, which is the blue colored one. So initially I'm gonna make it invisible. Click on missile, drag and drop, set missile visibility to false. We need to assign a false value to it. So I'm just duplicating the true block, changing the value to false, and assign it to the missile's visibility. We don't need to assign the position of missile in the reset procedure, because only when the user flings over the rocket, the missile's position and speed, everything is going to be determined. So let's leave it here. Now I'm gonna assign the position of spaceship. So click on spaceship, drag and drop, set spaceship x2 block and connect it inside the reset procedure. So the X value of the spaceship and Y value are going to be like, the top right corner. Not this one is alien. The blue colored one is the spaceship, enemy spaceship. So I want the spaceship to occupy the top right corner of the canvas screen. For that, I'm going to give the X value as 90% and the Y value as 10%. That is below this entire horizontal arrangement setup. So I'm going to set the spaceship X2. Click on Math. Drag and connect a multiplication block. Click on Canvas. Drag and connect canvas width to the left hand side of multiplication block, and onto the right hand side of the multiplication block I'm going to add a math value block, inside which I'm going to specify the value as 0.9, which means 90%. So multiplying along the entire canvas width, I want the spaceship X position to be at 90%. And similarly, duplicate this entire set of blocks. Click on the drop down to change the X value to Y, and instead of canvas width we can give the value as canvas height. So along the entire canvas height, I want my spaceship to occupy the topmost position, so I'm going to give the value as 0.1, which is 10%, so that as soon as the screen is initialized, the spaceship will get assigned accordingly. And I want the spaceship to be movable inside my canvas, that is from top to bottom it is going to bounce back and it will be always moving. For that, I'm going to assign the speed and heading. Click on spaceship. Drag and connect set spaceship speed to block. Duplicate any math value block and give the value of 10 to it. Set the speed of spaceship to 10. And I'm gonna give the heading, that is the direction in which the spaceship should point towards. So initially we have assigned the spaceship to the top right corner, so I want the spaceship to be pointed towards the downward direction. So for downward direction, the angle we need to mention is 270 degrees. So now click on the drop down and change the speed to heading and change the math value as 270, so that my spaceship at the speed of 10 will start moving towards the 270 degree direction, which is downwards. So now you will get a doubt, since I mentioned like the spaceship will be always moving towards upwards also. For that, I'm going to add one more block, that is bounce back. Click on spaceship. You'll find a block called when spaceship edge reached. Whenever the spaceship reaches one edge, it is going to bounce back off that edge. So click on spaceship once again. So drag and drop the procedural block called spaceship bounce edge. Hover over edge, drag and connect get edge to it. Whenever the spaceship reaches any edge, it is going to bounce against that edge. So when it reaches the downmost part in that canvas, it is going to bounce back and move upward.